Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about John Morrison, the man who's witnessed more in the history of wrestling than any other wrestler. I did not realize how long this man has been a wrestler. The eras this man, John Morrison witnessed the modern arc of Triple H.
John Morrison is like our favorite type of wrestler here on the Wrestler Review, which is mid-carder, where you're like, wait a minute. He was there for how long?
Oh my! I had no
idea.
He's been wrestling in the time he's been wrestling. Joey Mercury did not have a pill problem, got a pill problem, cured himself of that pill problem, became friends with fucking Seth Rollins, and then I assume got a pill problem because he was like, I'd rather be dead than spend any more time with the Monday Night Messiah.
And he also speaks to, I think, something we've learned on this show and certainly through talking about all these people, which is if you're a careerist, like a true committed careerist in life.
Who taught you that word?
Me. I did.
What? Are you back?
You in the wind.
You're inventing words again that just happen to be English words? I'll never forget when Dylan invented because, but when Dylan says it means his dick.
Yeah. Because.
Yeah. Because he's like, when I come, it's more formal. It's a cause. And then
So, but no, like, it's very good to have varied interests because John Morrison is into two things. Professional wrestling and
That's
the
true.
thing that is immediately after that, which is actually three things.
Fashion.
Professional wrestling, parkour, and B movies. And good Lord, did this man sacrifice for his art in all three aspects. Two of the three.
Oh.
One of them helps him in the other two, I'll be real. But like,
yeah, but
man,
what you don't understand
the thing about
is
him? Do you know why he left WWE in the first place? Let's Tarantino this one. He left it because he wanted to make... So WWE Films was in, and he's a film major, so he was really interested in that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it became... Like, he thought everything was going to be like See No Evil, where he'd be like, oh, fuck, I'll be in a million of these. I love these fucking movies. Yeah, let me write one. I'll fucking direct it. But then when it was like, oh, Vince also wants control over that, he left because he had a script that he wrote he wanted to make. It took him 5 years to make it. He thought he was going to be gone for 2 years. It took him 5 years to make the whole thing, and he ended up having to sell his house to do it. He sold his beachfront house in, like, I think it's like Malibu. I could be mistaken.
That's so much money. Also, reading about John Morrison, I'm like, wrestlers do get paid all right because, like, he's always living by a beach. He's always like kind of like it's one of those
chill.
things where it's like,
first of all, he's chill. Second of all, I would believe it that like.
But this is the fact that I also know about you and I is we are both people that we've basically made our entire living as unknown stand-up comedians, and we both are very aware of our financial situations because we're worst.
We're middle managers financially.
Yeah, we're middle managers financially, but like which is
fucking great. Continue.
It's fucking crazy, but we both have savings accounts purely because we're like, I could have one beer and go to bed. Like it's so crazy whenever you're like a wrestler, like you hear about like wrestlers, comedians, musicians that aren't famous and are like, I have no money. Just know those guys spent a couple of years being like, whose nose beers are those? Trick question. They're all mine. Because what I've learned from this
is I like that shirt. Do you want to go for lunch? I know that sounds weird, but it's like you can myrtleize $300 in 25 minutes if you want. And no, you're not high. You just got like an okay tracksuit.
Yeah.
Paid for lunch.
Oh my God. Yeah, like
Let's talk about budgeting.
I got into a giant fight with a friend because I was like, I need to like get some furniture for my apartment, which is a true statement. And some of the things he sent me were so expensive and so ugly where I was just like, and I made the mistake of being like, you'd pay for this? And that person's reaction was like, I own that. And you're like, okay. And I was like, now I understand why sometimes you're concerned financially because I would not spend thousands of dollars on a fucking chest of drawers. My clothes can just go in a bag.
Alexis said, this is the first time we're going to live together. She was like, oh, we should get pillow covers. And I was like, we have pillow covers. She's like, no, there's like a zipper that holds the pillow. And then you put the pillow cover over that. And I said, I'm not a fucking billionaire. And that was
whoa. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize how
everyone looked at me and I was like, oh, what? Do you think am I Kevin Hart?
I remember I was dating a girl, and I by that moment, by the way, didn't have sheets on my bed, 2 sleeping bags tucked into the mattress.
There's so many Reddit threads. There was one girl who I was sleeping
There are
with. Who I
so
was like,
many
hey, I have
times-
a frame on my bed now, and she's like, send me a picture of it. And then I did, and then she was like, I honestly can't imagine you sleeping above the ground.
I remember arguing when I got my divorce. A few friends were like, "You're gonna need to like spruce up a bunch of things, dress better, because that's the only way you get women." And then I was just like, "No, I'm
6'4", baby.
I'm a 6'4" white, and I'm in my mid 30s. I could have a swastika on my forehead, and most women are like, "Listen, I don't necessarily believe in all the tenets of National Socialism, but he arrives on time." It was
the weirdos,
crazy.
the weirdos that just by having a boss, my boss in my old office job, the weirdos, she would tell me that she was like, he is a good, like she just openly say, so it would go from like I feel like in your 20s, if you're a lady, you're like, there's 9 good things about this man and 1 bad thing, and you focus on the bad thing, and then it's flipped if the guy's like single in his late 30s or early 40s, because she was literally like, yeah, I mean, he does make a point to pre-drink for his shifts as a snow removal guy, but he's really laid back. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I'd be laid back too if I was 5-star hammered every day.
So many of my friends that are ladies, like the discussions of what they're like, I'm really excited about this guy. Yes, he has no thumbs, but it's because he cut them off to prove a point. So
but he made it very clear wasn't disabled at birth. He did that because he was going to lose a hand in poker, but he never folds.
Yeah.
I never fold. Thumbs gone. Now what do you want to do, bro? Anyway, I'm going to the hospital. So check this out. John Morrison, who I love because
more like John Morrison.
That's good stuff. Here's a movie this man has written, though. He's written the whole movie. It's ready to be shot. William Wallace Sasquatch Hunter. Written, ready to be shot.
I would watch that right now.
I thought John Morrison was like one of those weird WWE guys.
I don't think John Morrison knows how. I don't think John Morrison knows how fucking hot he is, because John Morrison could just spend all of his time penetrating vag or ass, any gender.
He's the type of guy who does, because that's how he's lived his life. He's like, I'm going to win. But he shows up, he wins Tough Enough 2, which is the best one to win because you still get the rub. Because
No, he didn't win. I thought he got eliminated from Tough Enough 2.
No, he's a co-winner with Matt Campitelli.
Oh, no, he didn't make it through Tough Enough 1, and then they brought him into Tough Enough 2.
Yeah, because Tough Enough 1 was so popular that Maven then had to join the main card. Versus Tough Enough 2 was like, oh, peripherally we know who these guys are. So basically it switched from like this thing that WWE is all over WWE TV as their reality show to like kind of like how NXT is, where it's like peripherally we care about these people.
But you also need to understand that in this time period, reality television was the biggest. Like reality television in the early 2000s was the iPhone. Like everyone suddenly just needed to get one. Like it was so weird. Like there's so many reality shows.
You think Frasier is light TV? We'll show you fucking light TV. This is Jose Canseco trying to figure out how a microwave works. Enjoy the greatest hour of your life.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've created a reality show. Sugar Ray Leonard and Sylvester Stallone are going to try and find the next top boxer. I know what you're thinking. Isn't that boxing? Yeah. The answer is fuck you. That's what the answer is, bitch.
Or I'll mention it again. One of the greatest. They did a pro wrestling show. Rob Van Dam was one of the judges, along with Eric Bischoff. Todd Bridges wrestled the entire thing with a leather fedora on. Kept it on the whole time. The whole story of the match was people trying to knock the fedora off Todd Bridges' head. Never happened.
That was, of course, the wrestling, the like celebrity wrestling.
Yeah.
Yes, Todd Bridges, by the way, if you don't know who that is, he's the other brother from Different Strokes that wasn't Gary Coleman. And let me tell you about Todd Bridges. He loved drugs.
Oh, yeah. But you know what?
Like everyone who was involved in Different Strokes, except like the 3 kids in Different Strokes, it was like, you see these 3 kids? Well, I hope you enjoyed laughing at them while they were kids, because their adult lives are going to be marred with tragedy. What do you mean? It's like, oh, one of them's going to die in an RV, and then the other 2 are just going to make you sad. And you're like, what? And you're like, oh, yeah. You see that guy? That guy may have murdered a guy. And you're like, what? And you're like, yeah. And you see Gary Coleman? He's just going to become a security guard and bum us all out. weirdly, because
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a job that isn't being famous. It's just Gary seems really sad about it.
Yeah, I guess, but then also it's like if you're not, I don't know, man. Honestly, security guard 20 years ago, bad job. Security guard now, great job. Because you know what the difference is? I guess it'd be okay in 2002, but
Be all right.
like you remember working jobs where it was like you had nothing to do, but you had no phone.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I have
where
a
you're just like,
security.
I guess I'll just figure out how many bricks are in this building. Versus
There's a-
now, you're like, I've pre-downloaded an entire series on Netflix
Yeah.
on my phone. I am going to fucking steal some snacks from this goddamn job. I am going to get paid to do jack shit.
We have a security guard here in our building, and they constantly get fired because they all are just incredibly unhealthy looking people that immediately fall asleep.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
And no, but you have to understand, they're in the front of the building. They get here at 7. One guy was asleep, and this was in the summer, so it is still light out. Security guard full
I like
asleep,
that.
7:45. And I gotta tell you, I respect it. I was like,
See, that's when I go by
that's
and
a
I
guy-
leave him a tip.
That's a guy who's been like, well, I know what you're all thinking. You're thinking, do I want this job? In a way, I do, but in another truer way, I want to fall asleep. Why? Because I'm a man in my 40s. I fuck babes now, is what that guy's thinking.
I worked at a coffee shop and no one came in, and at night no one came in, but they always had 2 people on just because for closing. And I worked a 4-hour shift, and then the lady I was working with, I knew she's like, I can't stand still, so like there's nothing to do, so just don't do anything, please. I need to be moving the whole time. I was like 100%. Brought my laptop. I watched the entirety of that Ben Kingsley Gandhi movie. So I was working for exactly 20 minutes. And then for 3 hours and 40 minutes, I was watching Ben Kingsley wear blackface. Good for me.
That's
That's
very
back
good.
when no one thought that was weird. So I was like, ooh, powerful performance, I guess. Also, this movie could have been so much less time.
Yeah, but
Nothing
you need
needs
a-
to be 3 hours.
Dylan, yes, but you
If
need
you're
to
giving
have so many
birth, get that
different
shit
scenes.
done 25 minutes.
But you need to have so many scenes where he's just slowly walking by a road. That's what I remember from that movie, where it's like, it's a really good story. Also, for some reason, the director was obsessed with Ben Kingsley slowly walking in blackface on a road. And you're like,
Yeah.
why? And it's like, he won't be talking. It's so you know he's thinking about India.
And also part of the movie where he turns to the camera, looks right in, and goes, Al Jolson was misunderstood.
Yeah. There's also that part at the very end where he just yells Hitler was right, and everyone was like, "What is this movie actually about?" And they're like, "I don't know, but you cannot give the Attenborough brothers
There you
money
go.
because
Attenborough brothers.
you know how it's David Attenborough's brother Richard Attenborough, the old man from Jurassic Park, directed that movie.
Sure.
It was like his passion project for years, and it's the most English thing ever. It's like, what's your passion project? White English man. I want to make a movie about Gandhi, starring a guy that is not Indian, and we'll do an accent that isn't offensive, but is so close to being offensive. And you're like, I knew you'd come. Speaking of someone else who came a lot in Hot Babes, John Morrison. John Morrison was, of course, the co-winner of Tough Enough 2, and then basically just hung out. I think they trained him, but I don't know.
Time to develop. And the other thing is, this dude had, he had other athletic pursuits that help him wrestle. So, like, amateur wrestling will help you become a good wrestler very quickly, as will, obviously, parkour. This guy also is the innovator of a lot of stuff that he doesn't get credit for because he's not, like, an indie guy first. Like, John Morrison will never get credit for it, but, like, he was the dude who was, and they do this spot all the time now, but he was the dude who you couldn't eliminate from the Royal Rumble, but would, like, you know, get thrown out of the ring, and then he'd jump and land on the railing and then walk back in the ring. Like, he was the dude, and then he left, and then they basically were like, all right, Kofi, you can do this too.
So the thing with it is John Morrison is an indie guy. He just got put in the WWE system before the indies existed in the way that they do now. Like, you also have to understand,
he was 22. So
yeah, 2000,
early. No, 21, sorry.
Like 99, 2000, 2001, the indies aren't what they're like. The indies at that time are like Jerry Lawler's in a room with a bunch of coleslaw, and maybe he won't tell you stories of the time he went to an elementary school. Like, it's
no, he will.
Like, what are the indies? Well, first find Jake the Snake Roberts, wake him up, and he'll tell you where there might be wrestling. Like, it's so sad. And John Morrison is like, I'm a hot boy. I'm going to go where the hot boys are, and does it. But he has the nerd mentality. Here's the thing that's like wrestling in the end is sports for dorks. Like it's yeah. It's all the sweating of sports, but they all have superpowers, so you're engaged. And you're like, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, wrestling's basically like, you think just because we like sports, we can talk to the opposite sex? No.
Yeah. Do you want to be a virgin and also know a lot about leather jackets? Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I have a lot of pictures of athletes on my wall, and if you ask me about them, I'm going to be like, oh, yo, I like this guy. I'll tell you what his birthday is and what sign he is and how that affects his play.
Yeah, exactly. He is a Capricorn, and it makes him good at parkour. Anyway, basically, John Morrison is one of the very few but excellent examples in the WWE of if you let a talent develop slowly over time and also let them incorporate their interests and put them in charge of their character, you get a long-lasting and versatile performer that has literally been floating around like the very bottom of the top for 15 years. Like it is fucking wild.
Oh, dude, full 20. 2002.
It is, yeah. Well, it is. I mean, I'm sort of counting. I wouldn't say that like the Lucha time, like the Lucha Underground sort of Impact time. Not.
Oh, dude, he says he got paid. He's like, I got paid fucking well for that shit.
Did he really? I always thought they were kind of like.
Well, think about this: WWE. You sign a contract, John. You sign a contract with WWE. Yeah, I'm giving you, let's say, I don't know how much money it is, but $400,000 a year, let's say. But you're fucking working 300 days a year. Versus, I don't know what the contract for Lucha Underground was, but let's say it's good money. Good money to a guy who's in the WWE. Let's say it's $100K. He's $100K, yeah, but he's doing what, 10 shows? How long?
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Filmed like a television show, so it's like you're doing 10 shows, no house shows. Also, they would film everything in like 2 weeks. So you do 2 weeks, you get 100 G's. That's pretty fucking good. Then you're done. Do whatever the fuck you want. And the other thing about Morrison is, he does, which is like I'm fascinated with that because there's all these guys who make their entire living, much like us, in the fringes of film. And Morrison seems like he genuinely wants to be that. Like he wants to be like a dude. I think it was like I did some shitty movie or like short film that's now like doing these weird short film festivals, and the guy on it is the same type of guy. Like one of the videographers is like, yeah, I just make money filming these weird short films and then use that money to make dumb shit. And one of the things he made was like nominated for all these weird internet festivals and stuff, was like a vampire that gets too high, so he can't exist at night. So he just tries to get the rest of the movie is just him trying to get high enough so he can live at night again because he wants to hang out with vampires because normal people are losers or something. And it's like, obviously, it's like you write that and you're like, where would you put this? But John Morrison's one of the dudes who I respect it. Is like, no, I'll sink fucking 3 months into writing a movie where a guy falls into some nuclear waste, so him and his dick switch, so his dick is his whole body and he is the size of his dick now. Like
basically John Morrison is Kevin Smith if Kevin Smith fucks. You know what I mean? Like
well, that's the thing I really like about Morrison.
And by the way, if Hollywood gossip is anything to go by, Kevin Smith does fuck. So
God.
Yeah.
Here's how I imagine Kevin Smith has sex. He's like, the final thing about Boba Fett is, pardon me while I just slightly pull down my jorts, exposing my naked urethra.
This is wild speculation that was told to me by a drunk man at the on a patio of a comedy club.
All I respect.
Of course, this is why I'm about to quote him directly. Kevin Smith is a big time swinger, loves a threesome.
Oh, you would have to be. There's two types of people that look like that, to be real. There's people who are ashamed of themselves, and if you're a tub with a big beard, you bang a lot.
Yeah, that's the truth. It's one of the many things the millennial has given the world, where it was like in 2009, we looked at men with beards and guts and we just went, let's just say this is fuckable from now on. And everyone was like, what? And they were like, yeah, that's how it works. Oh, by the way, Dylan is putting more hair growth and courage cream on his face right now. That's what you guys...
no, my wife lost her phone or can't find her phone. and I'm going to call the phone. Did you know
Very
this? Do you know that when I'm going to invent something in female fashion, it's called pockets?
Oh, I know. It's the craziest thing in the entire world. If
Can
you
we call this new podcast "Bitches Be Losing They Phones"?
yeah, the review of bitches be losing their phone.
A girl's like, "Do you know where my phone is?" And we're like, "We have an hour and a half podcast."
Yeah, what's the best and worst of the time that Tinifer dropped her phone?
It's under my shit. Okay, well, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm cutting this part out.
I'm gonna piss. Here's the thing with John Morrison. Yes, he's the fuckable Kevin Smith. He's like he's just ridiculous because it's also this thing of like he's got to be in his he's 42. He looks young. It's also that thing of he's a man from Los Angeles. This cannot be understated.
So I don't know what that's like, John. Can you explain
what it basically
Los
is?
Angeles natives versus the rest of us.
Los Angeles natives, they basically. This is the thing is they're just around show business.
Mm-hmm.
And there is the idea in LA is that like whatever your dream is, like, oh, you want to be a film director, you want to be a pro wrestler, that's totally fine. You just got to get in it and stay in it. There's no shame in if you have to take a second job to support it. If you want to like make a movie, then go get another job and pay for that movie. That's why John Morrison is very adaptable and never really I don't think you're ever going to get like a really like burying Vince McMahon shoot interview from this guy because his entire mentality is I want to be in show business. I'm in show business. Like it doesn't matter to me. Like he understands all the rules. He understands all of that sort of stuff. And he'll just always work and adapt within the system. Like I guarantee I wouldn't be surprised if in 20 years, John Morrison is head of talent relations somewhere. Like he'll just fucking survive.
Yeah, it makes sense. And that's a very interesting way to look at things versus the dudes who are pro wrestling lifers. Pro wrestling lifers are like, oh, they understand the business. That's why you see like a dude like Road Dogg. You see guys like like these guys who they understand through their family that there's no shame in just being like, I'll just be a producer or road agent or whatever you want to call it.
Well, it's that thing. It's one of the reasons why
I was like, dude, I thought this dude was like. When I watched him wrestle in like the mid 2000s stuff, I'm like, yeah, he's good, but like I was expecting a lot more given like how much athletic talent he has. But now as an older man, when I listen to an interview with him, I'm like, it's so nice to hear a wrestler who's like doesn't have a hint of bitterness in him. Like the way they brought him in his new WWF run, the way he debuted was. Someone was looking for The Miz, and then he answered the door. And that's how they debuted him. And instead of like, it's John Morrison, and he's here to, oh my God, it's been 9 years since we saw this guy. He's like, yeah, he's just fucking there. And he was like, all right, I mean, I need money, and you guys have money. Yeah. This is great.
Because it's also that thing of as long as you stop, you never, okay. In an industry like wrestling is very similar to an industry like comedy in that you are going to get some friends that are going to be millionaires. And as long as you don't think, as long as you recognize that in show business, there's an incredible amount of luck between going from earning middle management salary to I am a CEO salary, that a lot of that is right place, right time, what the marketplace is dictating, all that sort of stuff.
Also,
and John Morrison
is ready and treat everything like an opportunity because
exactly
you have no
and
idea.
That's what John Morrison clearly is doing and clearly did the whole time. So it's that thing of like, yeah, I'll come back to the WWE. Yeah, I can just be the other Miz. I don't give a fuck. In the way that other wrestlers like. Here's the thing that's fucking crazy is I guarantee like CM Punk and John Morrison are the like opposing opposites of each other.
So
CM Punk is
what
like
I really want to talk about with the John Morrison CM Punk ECW run where it's like I guarantee CM Punk was like he shit on his matches with Morrison and stuff, and I guarantee John Morrison was like, the fuck are you doing, man? I don't know, like it just
I guarantee
me,
I
CM Punk was so
agree.
mad about John Morrison because it's like this is everything this guy hates. Where it's like these guy's got an 8-pack.
So I love, like, I got to tell you, I have no feelings about John Morrison before this episode. I got, and I mean this, violently stoned last night and read so much about John Morrison. Here's what basically where it comes down to is he's a guy who wanted to be in wrestling, so he's in wrestling, and CM Punk is a guy who is like, John Morrison's dream was to be a wrestler. CM Punk's dream was to be Harley Race Ric Flair Terry Funk. And so the idea that John Morrison would be like, okay, what's my gimmick? You're a guy who shits in people's mouths. You're called the mouth shitter. You'd be like, great, I'll cut my hair. CM Punk would be like, no, you have to, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's that's why
the difference between someone who sees something as a means to an end
Yes.
versus something who likes the thing. Now, I genuinely think CM Punk likes wrestling and stuff. Otherwise, why would you wrestle? But CM Punk started wrestling, I guarantee, to prove to his mom and dad that he's worth it. Because remember, he left his family at like 15. Like, the guy's fucking... I mean, for all the shit we talk about this man...
Basically,
like,
every
he's had a
time...
fucked up childhood, but...
Every time you see CM Punk hit a move, just know that in his head he's thinking, I'm not what Daddy wanted!
Yeah. I mean... the guy's childhood, I assume, was just Vince McMahon's, but they created two separate beasts.
Yeah, I assume it. Yeah, it was
not as bad as Vince McMahon's, because Vince McMahon's childhood seems like The Wire, but just worse somehow.
Yeah, Vince McMahon's childhood seems like Oz if it was one room and and everyone is his stepdad, and he's just, I don't even know. Yeah. Vince McMahon, as a child, was just every character that was raped and murdered in Oz, and everyone else who is good or bad or whatever, that's his stepdad. I don't really know what this metaphor is.
Everything about HBO is good. I mean, every time I watch a new show, it's always HBO, and HBO, you know what? If you run HBO and you paid $5 for this Patreon feed, congrats, you guys.
Yeah. Oh, you guys don't know that, by the way, most of the people in our Patreon are big-time Hollywood executives.
Big time.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah. Peter Gabriel, one of them. It's true.
By the way, I don't know if the person that brought me on stage, who's clearly a cum monkey, recently, but I got brought on stage to someone being like, this guy is from the Wrestler Review. And I was like, oh, this person listens and thinks it's bigger than it is. And then may I say the opposite of applause I got when I walked on stage. And then afterwards, he's like, I love the show. And I was like, I know, man. Very, very niche, though, is it not? And he's like, it is. But yeah,
like, this guy's into getting panties by mail.
Yeah, this guy has put stuff in his mouth. I assume
everyone does it, but not that many people do it. But then also people who assume no one does it are also wrong. That's where we.
And I want to be clear, everyone. I do not want soiled panties in the mail. I just like to see what you think a comfortable lady's undergarment is. It's not sexual.
Yeah,
it's just for informational purposes. The lacing to the side. Oh, fascinating.
Perfect.
It's also that sort of thing of I was also going to say, yeah. So do we want to now talk about his tag team that I hate?
I want to talk about the tag team that actually I love.
Yeah.
Talk about
the tag team Dylan's talking about is Grizzly Smith and Buck Zubov. I'm so sorry.
Grizzly Smith and any 12-year-old. That's my favorite tag team.
No! Basically, John Morrison like
I came to play.
Pops in and out of fucking weird WWE. He's part of the APA barroom brawl match at Vengeance 2003. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, he's in
Developmental. He comes as Johnny Nitro.
Well, no, first he's like
Nitro.
He's Eric Bischoff's he's Eric Bischoff's fucking like assistant or mentee apprentice. Bitch. And he's given the names Johnny Blaze, then Johnny Spade, and they finally settle on Johnny Nitro. He then comes out to the Nitro theme for a bit, and then they're like, time to go back to OVW. He goes to OVW. Jim Cornette sees him, and Jim Cornette shits, pisses, comes, builds a hot tub, and goes, Morrison, my wife, get in there. And
if Jim Cornette, by the way, only talked about what he liked in wrestling and none of the stuff that he doesn't like, we'd agree 100%. So much to the time, but it's like the problem is he goes, here's why wrestling can never have trans people, and you're like, well now I can't like you anymore. Like, what the fuck?
I am
you just be like, you know who's good? Powerhouse Hobbs. And I'd be like, I agree, James.
Yeah, I like Braun Breaker. Do you like Braun Breaker? James, you've nailed it. Very good. Nothing else to say.
Yeah, we should just have positive Jim Cornette. We'll just edit the Cornette experience.
Oh my God, positive.
25 minutes each show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'd be 7 minutes. It's just him introducing
Hangman Page has a lot of talent, and then just gets cut off. Like,
yeah, it's exactly. Let me say this about Tony Khan. He's a person. It's just, the edits are loud. And now, it's just him introducing Brian Last and then saying the name of wrestlers. It's 7 minutes.
You know the weird thing about, I think, the greatest podcast of all time would be? Somehow this has to happen, and I wish, you know what you have to do? You have to become friends with Joe Rogan somehow. No, he lives in Austin now. But getting Jim Cornette on the Joe Rogan experience.
Oh my God.
Jim Cornette, because Jim Cornette also sneakily is tall. So Jim Cornette, not tall, but like he's my height. So it's like Jim Cornette would fucking. I've perform with Joe Rogan, Jim Cornette would
So have I.
fucking tower over Joe
Tower.
Rogan. So he would also think he could beat up Joe Rogan. It'd be amazing.
Let me tell you how short Joe Rogan is. I am a 6'4" gentleman,
Legit
And-
bar stool. He's a bar stool.
and I remember being stood behind him, and I remember thinking, "Well, that really short guy looks a lot like Joe Rogan." And then he turned around, and I was like, "Oh, I understand,
Dude,
I got
yeah,
it.
no, dude,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's like
It's
I was standing
Yeah.
next to him, and I literally almost out loud went, "Oh fuck!" Like, I mean,
My
you
favorite-
could beat
my-
me up,
my-
but like, I don't think so. Like,
my
that's,
favorite one
he
is
could
Henry
for sure
Rollins
kill me.
because Henry Rollins fits in your pocket. But
Really?
yeah, he's they're all, but of course, like it's one of those ones where it's like no one
Where
quits
can
a
I
jo-
be big? That's what
Yeah,
they do.
it's like I've got to be strong. And like Henry Rollins admits it. He's like, I'm this way because I'm a short man who went to military school. What do you think was
Ah.
going to happen? It's like,
No.
yeah, no shit. It's also
makes the fact that his
also-
body's covered in tattoos less impressive. Probably cost him $8. You know?
I don't get that joke. It's not
'Cause-
done in size of the tattoo, Dylan. That's not how that works.
No, it has to be. Oh, so it's a lot of detail work. Probably cost him $10,000 then.
That's right. It's also just that thing of like, it's like with so many people. When I was like, people are like, Joe Rogan, what the fuck? And I'm like, he's a short guy from Boston, and he has a place where he gets to be right. What are you guys all crazy? Rush, like, how did Rush Limbaugh get that way? He was a fat boy raised by a guy who ran the town he was from.
Yeah.
All of these guys are failed, except Joe Rogan is a very successful comedian, but all of the rest of them are all just failed comedians trying to beat their dad. And John Morrison,
something.
you know what John Morrison is? John Morrison is a nerd whose parents loved him, and that's what you get. If you want to see, like, it's that exact
nerd, athlete, great hair.
parents love you, you're Tom
Parents
Brady or
love
John
you.
Morrison. Like,
Also,
that's the
a
thing
guy
you
who
have to
could do this.
understand.
Hey, I'm done with this movie. Can I go through your territory now? Which is essentially what he does, or he did for 9 years. And everyone's like, "Yeah, you want to be the champion?" And while chewing, he goes, "Yeah, I could probably do that." And then comes
Yeah.
in, and like
Can
the
I-
dudes who are cool like him, but then clearly, I haven't heard anyone say anything negative. And then what was it? The word association with CM Punk, where they're just trying to like. There's just shoot interviews from like 6 years ago where they're trying to get him to say something bad about people, and he's like, "Oh, it's all good." Like even like
Hater.
the Austin Aries, where Austin Aries no soul
Made fun of his wife?
Yeah,
fun of
but
his
it's
wife,
like he
but-
was like, yeah, Austin Aries, like that was a work because Austin Aries wanted to like make the dudes in the back also think we hated each other. So he did that, and then he like worked himself. So he just like it was like the Brett Sean thing he said, but like with no Brett, because Morrison was like, "Oh, that's weird," and then went and did something else. You know what I mean? It was like, well, that's
Yeah, it's
fucking
it's like
pathetic.
the
All
Brett and
right.
Sean thing. If it was Sean and then a guy who's just like, but like, I'm still getting paid though. I don't really get like, it's cool.
Yeah, I can't think of a 90s. It'd be like Sean and Billy Gunn going through that, where Billy Gunn's like, yeah, I mean, I keep track of rodeo. Do you want to see which guys are good at rodeo?
Yeah,
No,
like,
here's
I
why
mean-
you dropped the IC. I said I'd do it. I'm trying
Yeah,
to tell
like-
you about my hobbies now, man.
Here's the thing with John Morrison to keep in mind. He's probably, of all the wrestlers in the WWE or in wrestling in general, he is one of the least likely people for you to ever see John Morrison is all elite. I don't think you're ever going to see that.
I think you could, maybe. But you
Oh,
won't see
interesting.
John Morrison. It'll be Johnny Elite, because that's what he does. He changes the last name.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Johnny
yeah, yeah,
Mundo,
yeah.
Johnny Impact, Johnny Nitro, John Morrison. John Morrison's hilarious because I remember when I first saw that gimmick, I was like, "This is fucking stupid." It's like he's just Jim Morrison but a wrestler, and then I was like, my immediate thought after that was Rob Van Dam, and I was like, "Nah, this is fine."
Yeah.
A guy who looks like fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme, so we call him Rob Van Dam. He knows karate, but also what makes him not like Jean-Claude Van Damme? Well, he's fucking wasted. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. So he's less
So,
professional
As it
Jean-Claude
tur-
Van Damme.
But as it turns out, by the way, what we've now learned about Jean-Claude Van Damme, Jean-Claude Van Damme was like, no,
he's wasted.
weed.
Oh, okay, same thing then on weed. Oh
So
shit. Okay,
So you know what stalled Jean-Claude Van Damme's career?
you love weed too much.
No, it's better. He loved cocaine too much and read that
Oh, that's
Jim Carrey got $20 million a movie. Picked up the phone to some studio executive that they were negotiating. He was like, "Hello, Jim Carrey deal for Jean or nothing? Goodbye." And like, no one called him for 2 years, and he was like, "It was a mistake."
And he just He dialed 911 instead of a number.
Yeah,
I have
he
to
just
dial
dialed-
quick. It's cocaine.
Yeah. Okay. So, but
We gotta talk about Eminem now. Eminem was a good tag team.
They were not a good tag team for one specific and important reason.
Oh yes, this is John's.
It drives me
Nice.
insane. Eminem.
Why?
Then why
Why
is
does
Melina
that drive
walking
you
down?
insane?
Because when you're looking at the fucking them walking down the aisle, it's NMM. So just fucking put fucking Johnny.
That's the
Nitro in
craziest
the
reason
middle.
not to like something I've ever heard.
Yes, I know, and it drives me crazy. It's the same thing. It always drives me fucking crazy too. The Shield would always annoy the shit out of me because they would announce the Shield in the wrong order. Like it's those little tiny details. I know everyone thinks I'm crazy. They are so fucking important. So you can go there, good, not
The audience
distracted.
has thrown their phones out the window.
Yeah, I got news for you. There's a lot of
laptops.
there's a lot of wrestling fans that agree with me. I guarantee it.
In the comments, please tell me if you agree with John. If yes, just write yes or no. If you agree with John, I think that's insane.
It's
but
very distracting.
I
And
mean,
thank
this
God
is
for
also
Eminem,
like
because they
cool-
were
yeah.
they were one of the weird rare times the WWE makes a tag team, invests in that tag team, and actually like tries to make them good. We get
This was also the era though where Triple H would just kill every tag team, and then that was that. So their
Yeah.
tag team division would get over a bit, and then Triple H would come in because Batista beat him, and then beat the tag champs for 9 weeks in a row just to
it's
establish
funny.
that
It's one of
his
those
dick
things
is
where I
huge
was like,
still.
man, it's so hard. Triple H, and I'm like, no, actually, I'm very happy Triple H lost NXT. Like, this is vengeance for that whole time
Yeah.
where he basically went on TV and was like, you know who I don't like? Black people. Booker T's black. That's bad. Goodbye. And you're like, yeah, fuck this guy.
How
Like,
about I win because hear me out here. They should have won World War I and II.
yeah. How about this? We call the match Civil War South wins. It's wrestling. And you're like, no. Yeah, we'll have a Charlottesville, Virginia match, and you're like, "What? It's 2007. I'm from the future. That reference you'll understand it soon."
Yeah, and then we get so they try Nitro and Melina as a team. That doesn't really work. Then we get
By the
really
way,
one
Joe,
of the first
Eminem's the biggest moment is of course that horrific face injury that fucking Joey Mercury suffers.
Yeah.
That's so fucking crazy. There's that. Then there's all of the different things about Melina, where it was basically what wasn't like everyone was like Melina, what a stuck-up bitch, and it was basically like she just was like, "Can you
Yeah.
guys all stop making ooh I want?"
Well, you
to
can hear
eat
our
that
Melina
noises?"
episode for more information on the fact that like basically she slept with a couple dudes and then I guess.
And Mick Foley talks about
Mick
her
Foley.
in such a way where you're like, Mick, I think you think you're friends with this woman, but I think you think you want to eat this woman. Like it's very like
It's classic nerd who got the pretty lady was nice to nerd 3 times, so now nerd is like I just show up at her house, see if she needs anything washed.
But Mick Foley should be used to that. He's been married to a very pretty wife who just buys very expensive bags with his money. Like
Yeah, but also like I don't know, man. Maybe that. I mean, you married someone for 1,000,000 years. I don't know what that's like, but I'm assuming things were getting weird. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? How many married guys, and this is a very good turn of phrase, how many married comedians have we seen have emotional relationships with people?
so
You know
many,
what I mean?
and they're
like it's
so,
not. There's no cheating. It's just like
Yeah.
emotionally, this is your girlfriend.
Yeah, there's no cheating. There's just
And then just
so
some young girl just
much
thinks,
late
"Oh, this
night
old
dick.
person's being nice to me." And
Yeah.
it's just but you're like, I know incel behavior. I am a attempted reformed incel. Didn't take.
Yeah, no, Dylan might have a wife,
Didn't
but he
take-
does not talk to her. He
Oh,
leaves
yes.
her, he leaves
I have
her
a wife.
notes.
I
Yeah, and
identify as a virgin. Thank you.
Yeah.
I take
Yeah,
it back. We take it back.
Yeah, Dylan has a son, and every day he wakes up and asks his son, "Who is your dad?" Couldn't be me.
Not
Yeah.
me. I'm a
My-
virgin still.
Yeah, my hymen's intact. Yeah,
No one's ever touched my treasure.
yeah, that's his butt. Dylan.
That's my fucking butt.
Yeah, but you want to touch my treasure? It's where I go poo. I poo out my I go poo out of my treasure.
So classic
and
team
yeah,
though. Nitro kind of knows how to work, has a lot of talent. Mercury, old man, teaches him basics of wrestling. He
It's-
comes out of
yeah.
his team as a fully formed wrestler, goes right into his next team, which is the Miz and Morrison, and they're fucking great.
Oh yeah, it's fucking fun as shit. They have a bunch of fun little matches. They run around being part of a fucking tag team. It's very exciting.
Well,
It's
they have that web
2008.
series too, which is like the
I do
first.
not remember any of this at all. This is like, because this is the time I was paying attention to wrestling by and far the least. Like, I have no memory of this. Like,
So they
it was
did the show called The Dirt Sheet on WWE.com, which was basically like their thing was like it was like TMZ, but by them about other
gross.
wrestlers, and it was.
It is
great.
such a thing that's not discussed about the late part of the aughts was that a bunch of different media tried to be TMZ. Howard Stern very famously had a thing called Page 69 on his radio show that was
That's
all the
dope.
gossip of people around. It's like this odd sort of stuff because we all just immediately ignore how like culturally important. So, like TMZ, everyone had like what
Oh,
did
and
not
Perez
exist.
Hilton. Everyone. Forgot
Oh
about
my
that kid.
God.
Perez
And
Hilton. Jeez.
Do you remember when Perez Hilton got like the shit kicked out of him by Will.i.am at the Much
No.
Music VMAs? I think it was that.
No.
Yeah. Basically, Perez Hilton was like Will.i.am, more like Will.i.am in love with dudes, and
There you
Will.i.am
go.
was like,
Why did Perez Hilton get canceled again though?
he didn't get canceled. I think everyone was just kind of like, you're a predatory weirdo, and we don't want to read your
No,
website.
there was a specific thing because I listened to a podcast about it. Keep talking about John Morrison. I'll look up Perez Hilton.
Did he fake something?
I assume when someone looks at Perez Hilton, no, you know what it was? It was that he had a website that was specifically for gossip, and then the rise of social media happened. People used to go to specific websites. I know that makes us sound a million years old, but you'd be like, I want to know about the news. I will go to CNN.com. Bad example.
Yeah,
but you know.
I mean, it's to the point that every comedian has a website because for 10 years you were always told you need a website. And now I still have a website, and all that website does is tell you to go to my Twitter.
Oh yeah, he posted an upskirt picture of a 17-year-old Miley Cyrus. That's not good. And,
What?
And then immediately went into an anti-bullying campaign, which is also good.
Oh, yeah. Well, who
Bullying
he?
is bad.
What?
Also, child porn is sick.
Wait a minute. Does he work for the WWE? Because only the WWE is
They
like,
signed
let's
him as
take-
a writer immediately after the upskirt. Yes.
Of course, yeah. Like, I assume Vince McMahon didn't even know about it. He just woke from a dead sleep. I know who can help us. Like,
There's talent.
there's someone out there who just saw us. There's someone out there who did what I like to call a Jerry Lawler.
He
Two
keeps
Jerrys.
on offering Milo Yiannopoulos contract
Oh my God.
as a writer and manager as well.
We'll bring
Yeah.
back managers. You're the best I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
What a
he does so much-
face. What
so
a
much
face
heat.
manager.
He keeps trying to get Donald Trump to commit to Battle of the Billionaires 2. We finally think, Donald, you'll be the heel this time. You finally know.
One of us, odds are, will literally die.
Yeah. My money is on me because I'm going to fucking blow myself up. So I assassinate Donald Trump. I win. History remembers me. I become the president.
So Morrison goes on his stupid fucking singles run. We get the ECW run with him and CM Punk, where CM Punk says, well, actually, we are raising a small army and taxes shouldn't be legal. And John Morrison says, here's some tofu I made.
Yeah, basically their run was Midwest versus West Coast, and that John Morrison was like,
That's
I'm
very
happy
funny.
I'm happy to be here, but this all doesn't really matter. What's important is us having financial futures. And CM Punk's is like, no, you don't understand. This really matters because if I win the ECW title, that means I might get to be the mayor of Chicago. And they were
Well, it's
like,
all-
yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's talks to your dad versus doesn't talk to your dad.
That's exactly right. Yeah. It's me and my dad actually have a
Did you
great
know
relationship.
Thanksgiving for me is I go to KFC and try and befriend the staff? Okay, cool. Well, I have a big dinner with my family. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the staff doesn't let me hang out with them after.
Hey, CM Punk, I can't discuss our match at 11 a.m. on a Sunday because that's when I have Skype pancakes with my dad because it's 2009.
Oh, yeah. Every
Basically,
comedian has mentioned this, but Skype, I can't believe they dropped the ball. It was really their time to shine. And they
Do you
were like,
understand? Do you want to know
more
why?
than one
why?
person in a meeting, not on Skype's watch.
I finally looked it up. Do you want to know why?
Why?
The guy who invented Zoom worked for Skype for like 15 years and had been pitching just Zoom, like the Zoom features,
Okay.
for 15 years. And Skype was like, "Shut up!"
That's
and then he
so
left,
funny.
started Zoom, and then the pandemic
Organized
hit.
the pandemic.
Yeah, he organized the pandemic hit, and then he basically won. And then Skype was like, "Fair, should have listened to that guy." All right, well,
Eesh.
we're bankrupt.
Whoopsie doopsie. Well, they're owned by Google, aren't they, or something?
Yeah, they're owned by they're owned by Windows. I think they're owned by Microsoft.
Ooh,
Um,
Windows.
But they're also like like Zoom is really big in North America, but in like Eastern Europe, Scandinavia, and the Baltics, it's still all Skype because that's where Skype is from. So they're like, "We're loyal, we're loyal."
No, one person at a time. It's more than one person. My brain bleeds.
I'll tell you who else's brain bleeds,
for
and
it.
that's CM Punk because John Morrison was just like, "Well, I don't like it here, so I guess I'll go." And yeah, he basically just hangs out in the WWE until 2011. I had no idea he was there until 2011. That is wild.
Well, he's the really weird thing where it's like, I don't know what Vince McMahon's vision for him was. I think he just wanted like another jacked dude. Basically a jacked dude to be his like intercontinental champion or something. I don't know.
Yeah, basically, yeah, what it was he was essentially John Morrison in many ways is kind of like if Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty were sober the whole time, but one guy. Like he's a really good worker, but also kind of like you can just tell that people in the back are like, I don't know.
Yeah, I want to find. I'm looking at his IMDb, so I would love to find. Let's do actor. Okay, maybe actor. Yeah, this is the thing. So he's not self, obviously, in a lot of these, but he has a ton of credits. I'm just trying to find. He has 91 credits. Most of these are wrestling, though. I want to know how many B movies this man has done. But he's done a ton of them. Like, he's in, 2 years after he leaves WWE, he's in Hercules Reborn. Like, this guy, exactly, it makes so much sense.
But this is also not talked about. There's so many people in wrestling that are doing this. Tommy Dreamer's other job is he appears in weird horror movies we've never seen.
Well, this dude leaves WWE in 2012 and immediately is in Legion of Black, The Big Lug, Jumpstart. Like he's in.
Wait a minute. Who was he? Wait,
in,
who was he in the Legion of Black? Because I think he took my fucking spot.
He was the lead shadow creature.
We were up for the same role.
4 things in 2014. 5 things in 2014. 6. It looks like 6 in 2015. This guy's like a real working actor. And then he and of course this whole time he's not filming shit. He has the secondary job of professional goddamn wrestling. Like it's a really varied and full life this man has. If you're going to be in the gig economy, like fucking go for it.
Yeah, it's a real fucking fascinating situation because it's also you'd think that the internet would have embraced him more because he's in things that the internet loves. Parkour, weird shitty horror movies, pro wrestling, and yet
he's a WWE guy.
But he isn't in really like if anything he's the Lucha Underground guy in for me. Like that's where I know him. Like I really like he was the only guy in Lucha Underground. I was like, "Oh, that's where he ended up."
Yes. But he's Lucha Underground in 2014, so that's 2 years after. And once again, that's filmed like a television show, so he very much knows how that goes. And really fits what they were trying to do, which is like the hybrid of wrestling and acting, obviously. He's in Lucha Libre, AAA, Impact, starting in 2017.
Like, it's again, why is this guy not literally like, why wasn't he in the pantheon of, oh God, we need to get him for AEW with Daniel fucking
Can't
Bryan,
really do promos.
American Dream?
Can't really do
But that
promos.
doesn't. But that's sort of true of so many people that
he's a
AEW
tag
fucking
wrestler,
love.
but he doesn't understand. Like, not doesn't understand, but like
He doesn't give a fuck.
Have,
He doesn't give a fuck to be part. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
well, he does kind of flippity doos, but it's like he's not like AJ Styles, where it's like this guy does such crazy, impressive new moves. It's just like he's very, very athletic and does the job, but not necessarily like. Is there any amazing match you can think that John Morrison, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Impact?
No, so
whatever.
It's basically he's Tito Santana. Like it's like, yeah,
I think Tito Santana's way more of a respected worker than him.
Yeah, but it's not like WCW was like, we need to go get Tito Santana. They were like, it's fine. Like, he's the only guy that they like in that 90s run where they got everyone. He's the only guy that they didn't seek him out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an I'm trying to think of a similarity, like a wrestling similarity from the 90s, but I'm kind of leaving it where it's like a guy who looks like he should be an amazing worker, but then just kind of isn't. And like never really figured out promos, but like obviously his look, like someone's flipping channel and they see a guy with an 8-pack and fucking a jaw that you can goddamn fucking grate some cheese on, you're going to goddamn
God, I'm about to
fucking
use his
watch.
jaw to slice a tomato. Paper thin, Dylan.
But just remaining happy. And then, of course, he comes back to WWE, and his latest run is he's with The Miz again and does a lot of stuff that people really like. But the thing is, he comes back as a fully formed professional wrestler, and this is really his time to shine in WWE. But no one cares because no one really watches the 3-hour Raws that he's featuring on.
Yeah, like he's
and it's
very...
a retread of shit he had already done.
Yeah, like he's like, let me get, like, I'm literally just popped open who, like, let me guess. He's been in a lot of different programs with Randy Orton. And I feel like at some point him and Seth Rollins had a which one of us has longer yet still wetter hair match.
But he's like back into like, and this is another thing that happens where we hear about these things all the time. But like, I mean, for me at least, there is definitely like as much as people want to talk about Mexican wrestling and Japanese wrestling, there is an Anglo tint you get to being a smart wrestling fan, especially like on like the version of Twitter I am on, because I'm on wrestling Twitter, but obviously everything's wildly specific and catered to your interests now.
Yeah.
It's like he's once again going to be in AAA in February. So it's like he's just back to doing what he was doing before, is like movies in Mexico and whatever other shit. Like he'll be back on Impact as Johnny Impact. Like,
here's the one wild thing is I had no idea he was on the television show Survivor.
Is he currently on Survivor, or he competed on Survivor?
He competed on Survivor in 2018.
Yeah.
That's
and then
wild.
He does the best thing where he lists all of his wrestling names he's ever had, and it took like 3 minutes. And people who, there's some meme on I saw on Twitter where it's like the Spinal Tap. This man is like exactly pro wrestling Spinal Tap, because he's like, I'm John Morrison, I've been Johnny Mundo and all these other things. But he's Johnny Drip Drip on WWE TV. A very good wrestler. Like, he's just a good guy.
Yeah, he's just a good classic wrestler. And it's that interesting thing of he's the Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He's the fucking Tito Santana. Barry Darso. He's a guy that if you're starting a wrestling company, you'd love to have 10 of them. He's gonna sell no tickets, but you put him with a bunch of people that do, and they're gonna sell a fuckload. Like, it's yeah. He's Val Venus. Edge is sort of the breakout mold. Christian Cage, I would say, is basically John Morrison of the Attitude Era. Absolutely integral, not important at all.
Yes, but I would say Christian Cage is weirdly like, if you combine Christian Cage, John Morrison, you'd have the greatest wrestler of all time.
I completely agree. Because it's that thing of like
and fundamentals, and then you've added dynamism. Like, it's like this guy has everything that's dynamic you want to see in a professional wrestler, and Christian has all of the solid traits of a pro wrestler. They would have been a great tag team.
I mean, again, it's one of those things where he is released from the WWE. He's back at AAA. I wouldn't be surprised if he appears. He ends up in Impact. And he's one of those 100% guys.
100% he could be an Impact, yeah.
Like, he's one of those guys that's just sort of tertiarily involved.
The one way I feel
I still do not see him showing up in AEW, even though he would be fucking perfect. Because you know what they could do with him is you could make him the I'm a real wrestler. Like, the one thing that AEW has not done, and John Morrison, I'm literally just throwing this out there now, and this would be so fucking good. John Morrison comes in and goes, I'm a real wrestler. You know where I've wrestled all around the world. And he goes, I've never done it with fan support, which is because AEW is basically like NXT, WCW, NWA. Mm-hmm. And you just basically, he could be the prototypical, I'm the WWE guy in AEW heel.
Yeah, fuck you.
And it would be so fucking good. Like, the only way that they could find someone better to do that is if The Miz or Triple H showed up in AEW.
Yeah, the only way to get like genuine heat in AEW would be like if because everyone plays along. Wrestling's like that now. It's like burlesque. But I guess I read a bunch of shit in the 70s and 80s where it's like Oh, there's like a lot of wrestling fans who go and just play along. Like that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it's always been. The thing is that wrestling history is being somewhat rewritten by Jim Cornette by being like, oh, everyone believed it was fake. No, they didn't, Jim.
Or believed it was
they
real.
They really
sorry.
didn't.
Yeah.
For me?
So I said believe it was real. You said believe it was fake. Anyway. No.
Yeah, everyone like my uncle remembers like Yukon Eric Killer Kowalski being in the Montreal Gazette, and he was like, you weren't sure, but everyone was like, there's got to be something going on.
Yeah, everyone thought wrestling was fake starting from 1908 when Frank Gotch beat George Hackenschmidt.
Yeah, because he beat him with a people's elbow. That's the thing that no one talks about.
Because he razor's edged him into the crowd.
Yeah. He did the worm and then the Bronco Buster. Like, everyone thinks that they were just doing full Nelsons. No.
Yeah, everyone just thought, which is so funny because you see this every time a UFC fight happens where it's like there's a knockout. They just go, oh, it was faked. Like it was a whatever. And then that's what they thought. Which is so funny because then they were like, "Yeah, that's actually a great idea," and then that's what wrestling is now.
Here's the thing: is I never understand. Was like Dana White is too much of a weird. Like Dana White wants to see people get hurt too much to fake it. Do you know what I mean? Dana White
would never allow it because, like, I mean, it's the perfect sport for that to happen because they do not pay enough.
What?
It's the perfect sport for that to actually happen because they do not pay enough.
Oh, I'm not saying that there hasn't been a couple of people that took a dive for a fat sack of cash, but I am saying that Dana White's not a part of it because Dana White's too much of a man from a cold climate. So it's just about being unnecessarily tough, but weird things represent your toughness. For example, I guarantee is like, yeah, I'm fucking tough.
I've only had one wallet my whole life.
Yeah, I've had one wallet my entire fucking life, and it's made out of my mom's puss. And but I guarantee Dana White's like, I'm as tough as Anderson Silva. I pay Anderson Silva. And you're like, oh, that's what this is about.
Before we end this, I will say one little tidbit is this is from a UFC fighter podcast I listened to, but something that would happen is that before they had medical insurance, the UFC fighters would go into the fight with like a broken leg and then just be like, oh, you got me, and then lose. So that's a dive because like they couldn't pay the medical bills unless they got the show money, which is fucking horrific. Anyway, John, what's your favorite thing about Johnny Old Nitro? John Morrison?
Everything. I love this man. I love that I didn't like him before. I want to buy a John Morrison t-shirt. I think he's fucking great. And here's why I like him the best. He's just a fucking wrestler who wants to be in the biz. I relate to this guy on such a level of like,
I relate to him quite a bit.
His dream was to be in show business, and he's in show business. I completely agree with him in every way. I love him. John Morrison, honorary cum gorilla.
Ooh. Yeah, I think that a guy like this is a really good guy to pay attention to if you're oddly starting in entertainment. Because fuck, someone had great advice where it's like diversify, consolidate, diversify, and that's exactly what he's doing. Try a lot of stuff. One of the things is working. Go to that. Oh, that's not working anymore. Try a lot of stuff again. And that's how you do things if you don't have a steady paycheck. And that's what he's doing. The one thing I do feel bad for him, though, is he wanted WWE this to be his last run. He thought it was going to get like a 5-year run. Obviously, that hasn't worked out because WWE is just fucking hacking heads off right now to sell.
WWE is some sort of Ponzi scheme at this point. I mean, like, it's so like the world is so.
They're just going to have Roman Reigns under contract and just Jimmy Uso in different hats. That's next year. He'll wear a blue hat and he'll be like Roman Reigns versus Mr. Blue Hat.
Does anyone else feel like this is just the slow roll and Vince McMahon's trying to slowly turn the WWE back into the WBF? Like it's just going to slowly be like, fire the rings.
Yeah,
I'll hire only the stage.
It'll just be solo masturbation vids in a year.
Yeah, it's just going to be.
He watched POV porn and he was like, wait a minute, you don't have to pay anyone anything.
Yeah, he found out about OnlyFans and he's like, wait, the fans just pay them.
Wait a minute, it's fucking
wait. So then I get to kill them?
And then at the end you drown them?
No.
Yeah, at the end you cut off their heads and fuck the whole. What?
Well,
Vince,
yeah, that's what.
What porn are you watching, Vince? It's a porn called the Saw porn.
Yeah, he was watching a biography of Ted Bundy. He paused it and then got Kevin Dunn. He's like, "Wait a minute, you could do that?
Why didn't I do that?"
Yeah. He was watching a Timothy McVeigh documentary, and he was just like, "Kevin Dunn, I know what we're gonna do on Monday. We're gonna blow up the Staples
real
Center."
heat. This is why Jack Swagger. This guy's better than Jack Swagger. Sign him.
They're very concerned because Vince McMahon only found out about 9/11 this week, and they have a Saudi Arabia pay-per-view coming up, and they think he's going to try and figure it out.
That fucking Saudi thing is crazy. Anyway,
How long all elimination chambers? And did you see what Dave Meltzer tweeted? David tried to be funny.
What happened?
Dave Meltzer was like, a bunch of elimination chambers in Saudi Arabia. I guess Auschwitz had too many COVID restrictions.
Jeez, Dave didn't say that.
Yes, he did. That was exactly and the only reason I found out is I avoid the Jim Cornette experience just because I'm like, it's very weird and negative, and he's just so performatively angry. But one of them was just it was like Dave Meltzer's joke goes awry, and I was like, what? Who told Dave Meltzer what a joke was? And then I heard that and it was just, oh, David.
The only one I see is if they are taking it to Saudi Arabia, any name change from Elimination Chamber is a positive. That's pretty good. I never even thought about having the Elimination Chamber only journalists match. No, there's no wrestlers in this one. Anyway, fucking.
So it was 6 days ago, Dave Meltzer has apologized for his oh no!
It'd be good if he hadn't apologized. He was like, "I stand by it," and you know what? My whole page. He
kind of did. As this was his apology. As someone who lost multiple family members in the Holocaust, I take it beyond seriously. The line was to bring up the question of using the term elimination chamber in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, it was meant as a message, but I apologize for those who were offended by it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's how you apologize. You say, I was right, but like also if you're offended by it, you're puss.
Yeah, basically Dave's apology was like, as someone whose family members all died in the Holocaust as soldiers for the Nazis, I think you'll find like here's the thing that I never understand is what happened to. Oh, sorry, I phrased that incorrectly, and my message was lost. I'm really sorry.
Because of the Holocaust, a lot of my family had to move to Argentina. Okay,
yeah.
So you're not going to find someone.
Yeah. Like also, why? Here's the one thing I just want to. I'll leave this out. Best thing about John Morrison, he exists. Worst thing about John Morrison, he's not our friend. The worst thing about John Morrison, he is not the third host of the rest of the review. And by the way, John Morrison, if you want to be, you will be our first guest. Our first and only guest will be John Morrison.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about acting tips.
Yeah, just fucking tell us about how we get your sick abs, bro. I assume
talk about your abs for.
I only do 10 crunches a day. I assume if I upped that to 15, I would be fucking sick.
Well, this is the thing. Another thing. We'll close on this, and then next time we are doing Andrew McKeon. I'm saying his name wrong. I'm so sorry, but Andy, bitch, you're up next, and we'll be doing one of these people: Test, Jeff Hardy, Bray Wyatt, or Joey Ryan. I would bet my nuts and my ass Test doesn't win in that one, but you're gonna have to wait for Test to be fourth, unless people just want to get fucking said real quick. But anyway, John Morrison, he talks about acting a lot, and I think that he's one of the first dudes I've seen, other than Cody Rhodes, who talks about acting in wrestling as if it is.
Yeah,
important.
I gotta tell you, I don't love when Cody Rhodes does it because Cody Rhodes, it sounds like it's like, Cody, who are you pretending?
Cody
to be
Rhodes
here?
is John Punk. Like he's both of them in this weird thing.
Yes, he is. He's like, I take wrestling very seriously. Also, it is not to be taken seriously.
But he says, "Oh, my dad was amazing, and my dad was like one of the best wrestlers of all time." But he wants more than anything for some guy to be like, "Actually, you're just as good as your dad." Like that's what he wants, but that's never. Gonna happen
It's also the problem is also Cody is also in this weird position where he's the one that TBS and TNT executives like because he's like a handsome, nice man, and they're like, "Is that an American flag tattooed on your neck?" And he's like, "Yeah,"
and they're like, "Higher on the forehead."
Yeah, and you're white and straight. Is that correct? And they're like, yeah. Actually, I'm in an interracial marriage. Do not mention that again. Do not fucking mention that again.
That part, she doesn't go on TV anymore.
Yeah, that part makes us want to throw up. But the other parts we really like. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to host America's Got Talent, but for people who cook meth. And
dude, we got to watch. You got to see the preview of Going Big Show. It's just a guy hitting himself in the nuts 4 times.
Sir, if you don't think that I haven't watched the Go Big Show, then you do not know what I find entertaining.
Skip AEW, Go Big Show, please.
Exactly. I choose to believe that AEW is just the pre-show. AEW is the Sunday Night Heat to the Go Big Show's pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying?
Is Go Big? We should rank things that you've ancillary became a fan of because of wrestling. My number one, Roller Jam. I watched Roller
My 100%
Jam.
is Roller Jam. I watched every episode of Roller Jam.
They started having tables at one point because they were like, fucking, we got to keep these wrestling fans around.
My personal favorite was the time a guy dressed up like a skeleton and ran over one of the roller skaters on a ATV. That was
That's
one of
dope.
my favorite things ever. Also, Roller Jam teams, please tell me we can still buy the fucking jerseys.
New York Enforcers, yeah, a bike uniform that just says Enforcers on it.
I love it. I wanna have a Nevada Hot Dice t-shirt.
I can't believe you remember. I thought I was going to really school you by remembering one of the team names.
I of course have looked it up. I have of
Hot
course looked.
Dice. That really sounds like a 2006 move. You ever give her the hot dice? That's when you light your
also,
balls on fire
Patreon
and then you hit
listeners, if
yourself
you-
in the balls with a hammer.
If you guys would like fucking watch along of us watching Roller Jam, please let us know and we will do that.
Let us know. It has to be under an hour, though, because I have to post it on fucking Daily Motion. Anyway, Daily Motion's for creeps. You guys are the best. We'll be back next time with one of those 4 options we listed. We love you so much. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.